What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another BlackSwanRadio.com podcast. I'm your host, Rondell L. Jordan. Hope all is well with you. This is your home for flight music and worldview conversation. As they say, high value conversation. You know, everybody on the internet seems to be talking about relationships, right? One thing I notice about it is that the focus is on the dating phase, right? It's on the dating phase, and you know, baby mama and baby daddy debates about, you know, child support and all of these things. So it's the dating and the end. But you rarely hear anybody really discussing the reality within the marriage from a long-term perspective, because a lot of people really don't have a long-term experience. And when I mean long-term, I'm talking about more or less a decade at least, and with a wife and husband. And I think even if you live together as a man and woman, and for a decade, there's many things that you will be able to relate to. But what you hear on the internet is, again, the beginning and the end. And you also hear the most extreme cases because, of course, you need clickbait, right? And so the person who's speaking the loudest with the most boldest statement, however radical it is the one that gets people attention, gets people to click, gets people to cover it. And now we're living in a point where the conversations are becoming redundant. Everybody's copying each other, the same talking points. People are positioning themselves if there's some type of authority on relationships when we don't know their results and their credentials in real life, because now anyone who can have enough audacity to go live on a consistent basis and talk about a particular topic consistently can generate a following of people who kind of need to hear these messages as confirmation or affirmation, because a lot of us are being gaslit and forced to think and behave in a way that is counterintuitive and also counterproductive. You see what I'm saying? People are telling you, you can't be a gentleman, you can't be a nice guy. Girls like bad guys, girls like this, men like this. Men want a woman who can just, not be argumentative, and that's interpreted as a woman without ideas or opinions. And that is not what it is at all. The main thing that men are really trying to convey is that they need someone, or if they're going to risk everything, their lives, their fortune, their family, their lineage, on one individual, you got to have a certain disposition, a certain value system, because you can't be someone who is high risk, prone to jump to the next best thing. So this is the reason why history matters when it comes to females being relevant wives. Now, the funny thing is that, we live in a world where women have been empowered, with all respect. And so they've been empowered to the point where they believe that they can change a man's mind frame a man's nature, by imposing their ideology of what they think is fair. As a matter of fact, the feminist movement, from the male perspective, has become, or may have already been that way, but it's come to an extreme point where now it is misandry. It is the hate or resentment towards men. Whereas now you want to police men and the male thought. So when we're in relationships with a woman, right, the control dynamic in the relationship in the modern household has changed. In this point in history, the woman has the power and the authority in the family, right? The man can make the income. This is the reason why women are leaving men at such high rates, is because the male's position has really simply been reduced down to economics and possibly the feeling of security in the cases that they need, you know what I mean? And women kind of forget, when they've been living in a relationship for a long period of time with the man, that they really don't like living alone. They're very fearful of being at home by themselves for long periods of time, and a woman is vulnerable, a little bit more vulnerable than a man, but the two together makes the man more secure and the woman more secure. I say the man double as secure and the woman 3 times as secure. But the point to what I'm trying to make here is that what we have to do is dive deeper into the long term, that middle ground between the dating phase and the divorce. We need to have more podcasts talking about these dynamics, the dynamics of actually coexisting together, and what that sounds like, what that looks like. And one of the best things that I think that a couples can do together, on a frequent as a yearly thing, and I would say, like, instead of spending a bunch of money on anniversaries and birthdays, you know, these are 3 events a year. You know, you have anniversaries, maybe even Valentine's Day, and you have 2 birthdays, yours and hers, right? Instead of splurging and buying gifts, elaborate gifts or whatever, wasting a lot of money, you just go out, have a good day, have a nice time with each other, but you save up to take a yearly trip on one of those days. It can be either her birthday or your birthday, or a designated day, and you take a trip somewhere else and you observe the culture together. Observe other couples in other places and look at the common denominators. Look at how they love, how they treat each other. Look at the roles that they do for each other. Look at the long-term ones. Look at the old couples that are still walking in the streets together, holding hands, sitting on the park bench, just observing life, enjoying life, being pleasant with each other, if it is just enjoying each other's company. Because company and companionship and care and security and provision is a pleasure of love. It's more valuable than what the demands are here. See, you don't hear the sentimental things from the lips of these females on the dating shows, right? They know their economic standard, nothing below the 6-figure, cool. Have a height standard, have sexual preferences, have a lot of different preferences, But there isn't any value that a man can hear that can say, she's the one. Matter of fact, everything that comes out of their mouths, typically and generally, that I've heard, are all red flags. All reasons to leave this person alone. Why risk someone who's out, someone who's keen in on the economics? That alone is a red flag, because a man, especially a man who has options, when you have options, meaning that you have a variety of women that you can choose from, why wouldn't you choose a woman who is simplistic, who doesn't have all of these high maintenance expectations, right? That you know, I don't think that our women are really looking at what the other options are, because they say there is no competition. I am not competing for no man. Cool. This was what Kevin Samuels was saying. He was like, well, you know, he was kind of extreme when he was like, well, die alone, you know. You say that a number of times. You know, that's a judgment. That's a judgment, and what he's saying is that is where that route, that mind frame leads to. It doesn't lead to a connection with a wholesome partnership, because when a woman with the wholesome properties, right, the properties that will actually attract that prize that everybody's looking for, when it comes down to it, it is all about the experience. How pleasant can you make a person's life?